Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another Winchester Wednesdays. I am your host, Winchester 572, and we are back with yet another Winchester Wednesdays. So, yes, I hope that you all are having a good time and enjoying the weather, whether it's clear or whether it's snowy like me. So, we've got a decent bit of snow. So, no. There. Sorry, I'm trying to get everybody arranged to fit on the thingy, and I'm just making sure. Yep, there's everybody, and then we'll have Tara be Tempest. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to the call. Hello, Cole.
Hello, everyone.
I'm sorry we can't fit on the screen. It's impossible.
No, everybody fits on the screen. Just
Wait,
barely.
I thought we were doing My Little Pony, not Kim Possible.
I don't think it's possible for us to fit, so we're just gonna have to start pushing Lycan.
Ah, no.
I'm not sure he's liking that.
That is true. See, look, I got a New Year's resolution. It's something that goes in like 1 year and out the other.
See, my New Year's resolutions are easy. It's get vehicle A running, get vehicle B running, get vehicle C fixed, get other thing fixed. Yeah.
My New Year's resolution is to have my degree, my first degree.
Well, since we're going on this fad anyways, let's just combine it into introduction. So, starting off, we have my co-host Crazy Matt Captain.
What? Resolution. I'm gonna pet the cat more. Pet. The cat's annoyed.
Alrighty. Next up is our lovely fanfic editor, Double R Forest. Give a New Year's resolution?
I'm too cool for that sort of thing.
If you think so. Next up, we have our.
I know so.
Next up, we have our lovely stream secretary, Razzle.
1080p.
Hey, that was my New Year's resolution, 1080p.
Alrighty.
What, no 4K? Weak
ass. Next up, our lovely Australian Lycan.
See, speaking about resolutions, like I went outside once and the resolution was pretty good, but the gameplay was terrible.
True. And Ocean, if you're actually with us.
Yeah, I'm here, real quick.
Hi, real quick.
God damn it. I haven't really thought of New Year's resolution or anything, so I don't know. I don't have one.
Oh.
I think Ocean's New Year's resolution was to read more, so she put the subtitles on the TV.
Alrighty.
You're gonna laugh because I have subtitles on my TV.
And last but certainly not least, we have Tara.
I am now going to change my New Year's resolution. My new New Year's resolution is to make more puns than Lycan.
That's impossible.
I think the world would implode.
I mean, we're pretty close.
I don't think the world necessarily needs more than that. Yeah.
The world always needs more puns. But unlike Lycan's puns,
the world doesn't need to be punished like that.
Mine will be terrible, though. They'll be terrible puns.
I'm already groaning at Lycans, though.
So
Lycan got it.
Good Lord.
Oh.
So yes. But yeah. Anyways, Happy New Year's. I hope 2020 so far has been going better for you than 2021
2020
has. Yeah, whatever.
Whoa, bro, what happened to 2021.
I'm still waiting for. I'm still. The last 2 years have just been 2019 ended again, and I'm waiting to actually have a good year after 2019.
What, you're just stuck in time?
I mean,
Yeah, pretty
that's fair.
much.
You're in Groundhog Day?
That's kind of how it feels.
See, that's why we can't admit that the year ended, because then 2021, because it didn't.
Ah.
Lost, it won.
Yeah. So
that was great.
How do I throw
approve.
something all the way to Australia to hit him in the head?
get an orbital
love
You know,
cannon.
I do know that people want to invent a device that like stabs people through the internet. I'm sure you'd make him a lot of money if you invented that.
No, you just make a really, really good chair that has a hidden knife in the back that when you send a certain code to their computer, it wirelessly activates the knife and stabs them.
Oh no, stabbed 22 times in the back. Worst case of suicide that I've ever seen.
Yes. But, yeah. So, anyways, we're back with the new year, which means perfect time to end a fic.
I think that idea is killer, by the way.
And so, yes. So, tonight we have our last session on It's Dangerous Business Going Out Your Door.
Hooray!
So, yes. So, yeah. If people have suggestions for other things, feel free to shove them my way. So, yeah.
Did we figure out who our Celestia is?
What?
Yes. He said I was gonna do Celestia.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we had one unfilled role. But yeah, we managed to get everybody here tonight for our lovely reading, and I'm sitting here sipping some lovely jasmine tea, and we totally didn't start late because I totally didn't think that we were starting at 8:30 like we used to. Yeah, I'm doing great. But without further ado, I suppose let us get into the reading if everybody is ready.
Yes.
My body is ready.
Oh, lordy. So, alrighty. It's Dangerous Business Going Out Your Door by Jetfire 2012. Tonight, for our 14th and final reading of this fic, your narrator will be me, Winchester. I will also be playing Applejack. Tara will be playing Rainbow Dash and Princess Celestia. Razzle will be playing Rarity. Double R will be playing Falloria. And Spike and Zakora. Lycan will be playing our wonderful Australian Nigelus. Ashtail and Pinkie Pie. CMC will be playing Shield Maiden and Twilight Sparkle. Ocean will be playing Fluttershy. And yeah, I think that rounds up the entire...
And Apple Bloom.
And Apple Bloom, yes. Yes, I totally saw that there. Yes, thank you. So, yes. Chapter 19. The world snake let out another mountain-shaking hiss. It made the dust around their hooves rise. The titanic creature actually stretched a little higher. Through, in this case, a little... Bleh. Though in this case, a little was a quarter of a mile or more. It was sweeping its enormous head around, clearly looking for whatever had disturbed its slumber. Though, its eyes were obviously not meant for seeking out very small objects at great distances. Dash turned to the others.
Well, now what?
We gotta get out of here. We gotta find another field, another valley, someplace else with beneviolets and keep looking.
The Beneviolet. I found the one we need. The one that's the right color. It's up on that thing's head.
Rainbow, you know it's gonna be gone by now. Probably blew away or the wind tore it apart. Think rational like.
Oh, I swear. It's stuck in a crevice on the head. It's gotta still be there.
Well, Applejack's heart sank. They looked for quite some time. The Beneviolet of which Rainbow Dash spoke was the only one they had found so far that was the proper color. It was possible that it was the only one they would find in the whole of the Archback Mountains. Unlikely, but possible. Even so, looking for another could take hours, perhaps even days. They were 2 days away from the 2-week limit.
No.
Dash and Applejack turned their heads. Verity was tossing her head and shaking her hooves.
No, 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 no!
She trotted proudly in front of them, the wind whipping her violet mane and tail, snowflakes landing on her brilliant silver armor.
We have come too far. We have seen and done too much to be turned aside now.
She stared hard at them, her deep blue eyes sparkling, not with charm or delight, but with barely restrained fury.
We are not going to be turned aside, not after everything we've been through. Haven't we crossed over mountains and plains and through rivers and forests? We have. We've won the praise of a lady of the Shimmerwood. We'll have our names etched into the stone of Gilderdale. Applejack, you faced down the king of Gilderdale in all his pomp and all his pride, and told him he was wrong. And you proved it. Rainbow Dash, you entered the dreaming with the Proghorns, and you mastered the lightning magic, something only one other pony has done, and you mastered yourself. And I looked into Lady Fallaloria's eyes when they burned with fury, and I told her to trust me, and she did. We are not going.
She snapped a hoof up towards the world snake.
We are going to beat that overgrown garden snake, and we are going to get that Beneviolet right now.
Yeah.
Dash reared back and thrashed her front legs, her blood pumping. So was Applejack's. All right, Sugar Cube, but how?
I have a plan. Dash, you're going to use your lightning on that thing. Hit it in the eyes, in the mouth, and the ears if you can find them. Make it notice you and make it mad.
All right. What next?
When it's got you in its sights, you're going to lead it right over here. And you, Applejack, will be waiting for it.
Okay, and what am I going to do then?
You're going to let it hit you.
Applejack's eye twitched. Come again?
You are going to let it hit you. But when it hits you, you will dig in your hooves into the earth and you will stand firm, just as Ashdale taught you. Didn't he say that when an earth pony digs in their hooves and stands firm, they can't be moved and they can't be hurt?
Verity's eyes sparkled. The orange earth pony stomped her hooves nervously. Her ears flattened against her head. Well, yeah, but that was when we were facing Kamegas. This
is no different. You must dig into your spirit, darling, and find your strength. I know it's there. And when you got that when that world snake crashes against you, you will not be moved. So the only logical conclusion is that he will be moved. The sudden impact will almost certainly hurt him and daze him. He may even collapse onto the ground. Then I shall teleport on top of his head and get the Beneviolet myself. Are we clear?
Her two friends stared blankly at her for a moment. Then Rainbow Dash stepped forward, her scarf billowing in the breeze.
Let's do this.
She raised the front hoof. Verity touched her own front hoof against it. They both looked at Applejack. The orange earth pony felt compelled to be practical for just a moment. They would be killed. They might not even get the Beneviolet before being killed. She looked desperately into their eyes and found only confidence. What had Falloria said?
Have faith.
What had Niles Nigel said?
Keep calm.
What had Shield Maiden said?
Fear not.
She could feel the strength from the earth, from her friends, from her cutie mark, fill her soul. She stepped forward and joined her hoof to the others. Let's do it! Twilight Sparkle screamed in agony, the sparks from her horn making the whole library shake. Far below her bedroom, the front door opened, and Spike stepped inside.
Remember, it's in a crevice around the left side of the central crest.
Right.
Okay.
The sky blue Pegasus flapped and whirled around in the air, facing the impossibly huge serpent still twitching its head from side to side.
Here I go.
She launched herself forward, wings flapping with all her might. She realized a few seconds later that it was going to take her some time to fly all the way up to the creature's head. Unless...
Firefly, be with me.
She opened her spirit, letting the dreamings flood in. She briefly stopped flapping, letting calm and the currents of the universe pour through her body. Then, white energy crackled around her. She put her legs together, and the lightning bolt came, and she rode. Sound and wind vanished around her as she streaked up, the world snake getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It filled her whole vision. A black, scaly head with scales roughly the size of an Ursa Minor each. The air trembled as the titanic head moved, twitching, turning to fill her with its sidelong vision. Yeah. And she noticed its front left eye narrow at the pupil. It saw her. She gritted her teeth.
I'll give you something to look at.
She willed more power into the lightning bolt, blasting forward ever faster, until she was half a mile away. And then the serpent blinked, its front left eye opening again, so she unclasped her legs and let the lightning bolt blast forward in a second. The lightning struck the world snake right in its eye. It didn't exactly roar, it opened its mouth and let out a louder, lower, sharper hiss, which was still enough to make Dash's bones shake inside her muscles. She flew with all her might, snow swirling around her, curving around its head towards its now open mouth, where that spectacularly long tongue was lolling out. It moved its head to one side, then the other, frighteningly fast. And Dash clenched her stomach muscles and pulled up, knowing that if she actually collided with the thrashing titan, the impact would liquefy her. She banked hard around the lower jaw, summoning a lightning bolt from around her front hooves as she traveled. Then she was at the front, where there was the tongue, so she aimed her hooves and let the lightning go. The bolt sizzled out and hit the world snake squarely on the tip of its tongue. It threw its head back, the surge of wind nearly knocking Rainbow Dash out of the air, her scarf seemingly the only thing that saved her. She could hear more of the mountains crumbling far below, as more of the great black body pulled itself from the earth. She felt a sudden current of wind pull her. The creature was inhaling, and the great black portal she was dragged towards were its nostrils. She channeled the lightning through her back legs, twisted around, and bucked. Twin bolts lanced out into each nostril. And now the titan howled, a low, awful, sneering sound. It pulled back, its head growing faintly smaller in her eyes as she whirled around, and the 4 green eyes angled inward towards her. The black slits in each of them narrowed. It had seen her.
That's right. You want me? Come get me.
She spun around and flew and dove. Another mighty hiss, and the mountain shook. She glanced over her shoulder. The world snake's head was following her. Below her, the mountains cracked apart ever more, peaks and cliffs crumbling away like caked mud knocked off a boot. The snow filled her vision, driving her to squint her eyes. In a flash of panic, she glanced over her shoulder again. Focusing with all her powers of vision, she could still see it, the flash of sharp purple high up in the blackness.
It's coming!
You think? Applejack saw the behemoth surging forward, right towards them. I don't know if I can do this, Rarity.
You must!
The white unicorn's horn shimmered, and the dusting of snow that had fallen around Applejack was blown away, revealing a clear circle of rock.
You're the only way it will work.
But I ain't no Dale pony. I just learned about standing firm. I don't got it in me.
Yes, you do. Applejack, look at me.
The orange earth pony did so.
I've relied on your strength so much over this journey. So has Rainbow Dash. Whenever we've doubted, you've been there to boost us. Whenever we faltered, you were there to help us stand. You have more strength in your spirit than this entire mountain range. You can stand firmer than any pony that's ever lived. I have faith in you.
The world snake loomed closer. The ground was quaking. Snow from the mountain peaks was tumbling down into the great open space. Applejack looked up at the Titan, saw its colossal size, bigger than anything she could have ever imagined. I'll do what I have to.
You can do it.
Rarity turned and ran off, wanting to be well clear of the impact site. Applejack swallowed hard, then looked down at her hooves. Ground them in as far as she could into the rock, then focused on her heart. I need strength. Where did she get her strength? From her family and friends. She imagined Big Macintosh and Apple Bloom and Granny Smith beside her, smiling and encouraging her. She felt Rainbow Dash and Rarity, and Twilight Sparkle and Fluttershy, Pinky, and even Spike with her. She imagined Brayburn and all her cousins, aunts, uncles. They leaned against her, propping her up. She raised her head. The world snake was even closer, filling every inch of her vision. In a rainbow blur, Rainbow Dash shot past her, streaking low. She could hear her grab Rarity and lift her skyward. The world snake's body cracked apart the mountains at the entrance to the chasm. She dug deeper into the earth and deeper into her soul. Her mother and father were here now, gripping her, holding her around with their legs as they did when she was a baby. She could feel them in that moment. It wasn't just her reaching into the earth. The earth, the living rock beneath her, reached up into her, whispered to her without words. She could feel every earth pony from the beginning of time standing with her. All of the ponies of Gildedale, Shield Maiden and Ashtail, his voice in her ear saying to her,
Earth ponies are unbreakable.
Her face hardened. Her green eyes flickered stone gray. Her mane and tail went rigid, stopped blowing in the wind. The world snake was upon her. His was before her in an instant, too fast to be a hold, and she met him with all of the strength of and all of the love of every pony whose hooves had ever touched the dirt of the wide world. The planet tensed its muscles with hers. She stood firm. The world snake's broad muzzle hit her right on the nose. It bounced. The ground rippled like water on a lake, huge waves spreading through the solid rock. Then cracks shot away from her in every direction, great enormous cracks that traveled across the empty space and up the mountain walls, up the peaks, cracking the mountains from their summits to their very foundations. The cracks traveled outwards, into the ranges around her, and the snow-capped peaks collapsed in the distance, crumbling into chunks larger than her farm as the roots of the world broke. Yet, Applejack was unscathed. The world snake whined, a sharp, high pleading, almost like a dog, as it pulled back, its body almost wobbling, the air snapping around in a massive spade-shaped head as it swayed. Applejack finally blinked, her body loosening up, shaking her head. She felt like she wanted to throw up, to be honest, but other than that, perfectly fine.
She did it!
Rainbow Dash held Rarity in her legs.
I knew she could. Now, Dash, put me down near the head. It's my turn to take part.
What about me?
If you can, keep hitting it with lightning. Try to put it in place.
Got it.
The sky blue Pegasus flew low, slowed down, and came to the ground. She dropped Rarity, who hit the ground running and galloped forward, aimed straight for the unbelievably huge head. Rarity knew this was her moment. Lightning bolts rained down from the sky, striking the earth on either side of the world snake's head. Its green eyes were unfocused, its tongue partially extended. She wove around one massive white bolt, then looked up, glancing at the world snake. Its head was still quite high up. She hoped she could teleport there. She began to think of what it would feel like. The scales hard but not craggy, covered with chunks of dirt and rock.
Dash, can you get it to lower its head a bit?
I'll try.
A lightning bolt struck the Titan squarely in the middle of its head, and it reflexively smashed its jaw onto the ground. The impact threw Rarity from her hooves, skidding her across the ground. She shakily got to her feet. She looked up. Even with the head on the ground, it was still nearly a mile from its jaw to the top of its head. If only she could get closer. Need a hoof? Applejack called from behind her. Turning, Rarity saw the orange earth pony galloping forward, twirling her new deerish rope, which she had tied into a lasso. There was a protrusion at the back corner of the world snake's jaw, and she galloped for it, spinning the lasso larger and larger.
Is that rope going to be long enough?
It's as long as I need it to be. Sure enough, as Applejack spun the rope overhead, it seemed to grow longer and longer and longer. Finally, they were just above the protrusion, and Applejack reared back, tossed the lasso up. It seemed to reach further skyward of its own accord, and then its enormous noose fell around the bony point, and Applejack pulled, tightening it, just in time too, because the world snake's eyes suddenly came into focus, and its head started to rise off the ground. Applejack dug her hooves into the earth and stood firm. The world snake abruptly stopped rising, its head angled towards Applejack, its body thrashed, sending ripples through the ground and around them, breaking apart more of the mountains on either side of it. Rarity was knocked off her hooves again, but Applejack remained unmoved. The rope was taut. Rarity glanced at Applejack, and Applejack's green eyes motioned towards the rope. Get up there! Taking a deep breath, the white unicorn imagined the air swirling around her, the cold bite of the snow on her coat. The sky open, but not too open. And she vanished, reappearing just above the rope in the air. Falling down, she grabbed the rope with all four hooves and clung tightly to it. She looked up, towards the enormous head. The eyes were narrowed in focus and rage.
For Twilight!
Rarity began to shimmy up the rope. She moved as fast as she could, though this was hindered by her complete lack of experience shimmying up ropes. Fear and courage combined to make powerful motivators, however. So she climbed, clutching the rope tightly between her hooves, moving as fast as she could. Further and further she rose, higher and higher. The snake kept to its right, eyes on her. But what could it do? Suddenly, the green eyes blazed, flashing with evident light. A surge of green traveled down the rope. Rarity's horn shimmered, putting up a simple barrier. Fortunately, the magic was wild and uncomplacent, though still incredibly strong. Still, she was able to avoid it. It kept traveling down the rope, though, until it reached Applejack, where it hit her, through her teeth, and into her body. The orange earth pony was standing firm quite well, so she had barely felt it. But it was enough to make her twitch, and the twitch broke her stance. She was ripped out of the ground, and she had to let go of the rope hastily before her teeth were yanked out. The world snake broke free of the cage of lightning around it, sending another green pulse out, this time into the air. It rose rapidly skyward.
Rarity!
The white unicorn was now clutching the rope for dear life. She rose higher and higher, miles of empty sky separating her from the ground. Tears sprang to her eyes. She shut them tightly. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. She wasn't prepared for this. She was trembling. Her fears were overwhelming. She reached into her mind, trying to summon some comfort. trying to will all of it away, wishing with all her might that this might just be a dream, that she might wake up in her beautiful bed in her beloved boutique, and then go out into the warm sunlight of Ponyville, all her friends waiting for her. Twilight Sparkle was screaming now, tears running down her face. The other ponies crowded around her, while Spike hastily scribbled a note on a piece of parchment. Her eyes opened. Her cutie mart was glowing. Twilight needed her now. Her friends, more important than she was. She faced all her fear and trembling and put it forcibly out of her mind. She grit her teeth and climbed the rope once more. She wouldn't fail. Not now! The world snake suddenly snapped his head to the left. The rope was flung upwards, and Rarity with it. Then, headed straight for the side of the great beast's jaw. Losing her grip, Rarity was tossed into the air, sailing up and up from the sheer force of the Titan's motions. She suddenly glimpsed at the top of its head. She focused on the scales. They would be slick and hard, but not slippery, not wet. Not at this point. Though they would be a little wet from the snow. There would be clouds of dirt and clumps of grass and a few stray chunks of rock. She could feel them all beneath her hooves, and the wind would be whipping more fiercely than ever, the snow driving in a spiraling swirl around the giant head. She caught all the sensations in her mind, let them fill her imagination. Then she let her magic surge, and in the blink of an eye, she was standing on top of the world snake's head. She was shaking, trembling, but she was here. She quickly looked around. Rocks the size of boulders were tumbling and falling off the beast's head even now. Snowdrifts were piling up around the depressions in the skull. She saw, far off, in the crest of which Rainbow Dash had spoken, rising like a great black bastion, though it was not very tall relative to the rest of the Titan. She galloped for it with all her might, the snow driving around her, her hooves almost slipping several times as the scaly skin of the Titan. Dodging mud and snow, she got closer and closer. The world snake began to tilt its head back, and Rarity angled herself as best she could. A shudder went through the Titan, and Rarity couldn't keep it up. She lost her balance. Fell. Her hoofs slid. She tumbled downward, rolling over the snow through the mud, thinking,
My beautiful coat, this lovely armor.
She slid further and further, and the empty sky, with the mountains far below, loomed ways off, but growing ever closer. Then the crest was there. She reached out her front legs and grabbed it, catching it, breaking her slide. Panting, she focused.
Twilight Sparkle, I shall not let you down.
She crawled around the crest, toward the left side of the head, and looked down. There it was. It was sitting, almost eerily peaceful, in an intact clump of grass along the middle of the crest, the Beneviolet, bright purple, gleaming purple, young and fresh. Rarity almost cried. She tried to gauge how best to reach it. She'd have to slide for it. Taking a deep breath, she crawled the rest of the way around the crest, and let go with her back hooves. She began to slide down the other side of the head, working hard with her magic to keep herself facing toward the front. When the beast began to dip his head, angling the other way, slowing her down, she was so close. For a moment, the world snake's head stopped moving. Rarity snapped to her hooves and ran for the flower. She could feel a surge of muscle power rising up through the scaly skin. She dove. She slid. The flower was there. She stretched her neck and extended her mouth. The world snake tossed its head, making a sonic boom from the sheer force, launching her into the sky, but with the Beneviolet clamped firmly between her teeth. She spun and somersaulted up, flying higher and higher and higher, miles passing away beneath her. When she was finally right way up, she looked down and wished she hadn't. The mountains were tiny beneath her. The air was very cold, and she was having trouble drawing breath.
Focus.
She was sailing upward more slowly now. She used her magic to open her left saddlebag, sending sweaters and sunglasses and blankets flying away into the sky. She mourned their loss, but kept her eyes peeled. When the glimmer of crystal emerged, she focused all of her magic upon it. The bottle was caught in her telekinesis. She levitated it down to her lower legs, and when it was there, she clamped her lower hooves around it, holding it as tightly as she could. She stopped dead in the air, hung there for a moment. The whole sky was still and quiet. She used her front hooves to pull the stopper off the top of the bottle, sending the green and purple dragon fire billowing out. She spat the Beneviolet downward. The fire could have blown out. The Beneviolet could have been blown away. She could have started to fall, sending both fire and flower swirling into the empty sky. The fire and the flower could have gone separate directions, missed each other. 100 things could have gone wrong, but they didn't. The dragon fire rose up, and the Beneviolet fell down, and they met just around Rarity's heart. The flower was caught in the swirling fire, and it hung there for a moment, curling and gleaming in the flames. Then fire and flower dissolved into shimmering purple, either which shot up and away from her, streaking off to the east, rapidly out of sight. Rarity started to cry. Then she started to fall. She tumbled down, the mountains drawing closer, the wind whipping fierce around her. She almost didn't care. She had done it. They had done it. She had completed her quest, fulfilled her duty, made good her debt. She knew the Beneviolet would reach Twilight Sparkle in time, just in time, but in time. And her life was going to end now. Well, she was the element of generosity. Self-sacrifice didn't bother her in the end. So she fell, until 4 hooves came up behind her and wrapped around her body.
Gotcha!
Rainbow Dash flapped to turn the fall into a dive she slowly and gradually pulled out of.
Dash, I did it! Dash, I did it!
You did? You did it!
They flew low across the great rocky expanse, now ruined and broken from the impact of the world snake against Applejack. The orange earth pony came galloping to them as they slowed, Dash gently setting Rarity down. What happened? Are you all right, Sugar Cube? Are you?
We did it! It's done, Applejack! It's done!
You did? You found the flower?
Found it and sent it right off. I saw Spike's fire catch it and sent it away with my own eyes. It's probably with Twilight Sparkle right now.
Applejack breathed hard. Tears began to leak from the corners of her eyes. You did it, Rarity. Bless Celestia, you did it.
We did it.
Rarity wrapped her front hooves around Applejack and began to sob.
We all did it. We did it together, and we could have never done it alone.
Rainbow Dash fought back tears as she hugged her friends fiercely, but a moment later she decided she would let herself cry, just this once.
I know you're right, Rarity. I'm sure I couldn't have done this alone. We needed each other.
Sniffling, Applejack pried Rarity's hooves off her neck. All right, now I reckon we better make tracks. That world snake's gonna be... Boom! The mountains around the area, around the arena, like clearing, were shaken apart by the descent of a huge black body. Around them, the ground ripped apart, revealing more blackness, surging up and swirling around them. Looking skyward, the 3 ponies saw the world snake looming miles overhead, staring straight down. The coils in the stone around them rose up, circling them, tightening. The coils that had been planted atop the mountains narrowed, then shifted, coming to a rest atop the coils still half buried in earth. The world snake's head lowered as it slammed more of its body down on top of the 2 piled coils. The world grew dark around them as the light was blocked off, as they were trapped in a cocoon miles tall and miles broad, slowly but surely getting smaller, the gaps between it narrowing, choking off.
He's circling us in. I don't think... I'm not sure I can teleport us out.
As if in answer to her, the world snake's body shimmered with a green haze, and Rarity's horn pricked with the surge of ambient magic. She could feel a powerful wall of energy, impossibly strong. Another flicker, and her hooves crackled. She looked down. The earth shimmered green too. I can't feel the ground no more. Applejack tried desperately to grind her hooves into the dirt, to no avail. Everything was dull and dark green, though the light barely penetrated the glowing shadows.
Dash, fly, save yourself.
Another slam, and Rainbow Dash looked up. The world snake had piled another level of coils up. Each time it did, the opening grew narrower. Now, what little space there was would be filled entirely by its head. When it struck, Dash had been hovering, but with the slow wing beats, she lowered herself to the ground.
I can't make it. Not now.
A vicious hiss filled the air. With still a great deal of body to utilize, the world snake drew back its head. It reared up and up, miles into the sky, but still its snout pointed straight down. It opened its mouth, flashing its monstrous fangs. Its green eyes widened in primitive bloodlust. Dash stepped slowly around Rarity and Applejack, filling the space between them. She spread her wings, touching one on each of her friends' backs. Wordlessly, they drew close behind her, wrapping their hooves around her. She wrapped her hooves around both of them. Applejack and Rarity wound their front hooves around each other's as well.
Listen, I just want to say, I love you both.
The snake's head rose higher. Dash swallowed.
And if this is the day I go off to the Summerlands, I don't regret it. I wouldn't have done anything different.
Applejack leaned her head against Rainbow Dash's, the brim of her hat bending against the Pegasus's forehead. Rainbow, I wouldn't have done anything different either. I wouldn't have traded this adventure for anything, though. She looked up. The world snake's head rose higher still. I'm gonna miss seeing Apple Bloom and Big Macintosh and Granny Smith.
I suppose I shall miss Sweetie Belle.
Rarity leaned her head against Dash's.
Oh, I do hope she remembers to feed up her lessons. She can be so forgetful sometimes. Still, a lady meets all things with dignity, even her end.
The snake's head drew higher. Shucks, Rarity. There ain't no one to be dignified for now.
That's not true. There's the two of you.
The world snake's head stopped moving back. Its long tongue lolled out, and it let out another chest-rattling hiss. Applejack wrapped her hooves around both of her friends as best she could. Close your eyes. Close your eyes, y'all. She shut her own green eyes tightly. Rainbow Dash shut her rose-colored eyes, pulling her friends closer with her wings. Rarity fluttered her long eyelashes one last time, then slid her deep blue eyes closed. She touched one hoof on Applejack's hoof, and one hoof on Rainbow Dash's chest. She opened one eye briefly. The great snake's head started to fall. She shut her eye again, holding her breath. There was a soft bursting sound, a sound of surging energy, fading off into twinkling noises. They all thought it was the world snake's magical barrier giving off a discharge. Then the soft crunch of hooves on snow reached their ears. Startled, the three ponies opened their eyes. A lavender unicorn, her eyes violet, her mane and tail midnight purple, her cutie mark a pink starburst surrounded by white stars, stood before them, smiling peacefully. Her horn, upon which there was not a speck of blackness, shimmered with great magic.
Hello, girls. How are you doing?
They stared in shock at her. Twilight? The air began to shudder. Looking up over her shoulder, Twilight Sparkle's eyes widened at the approaching head of the world snake.
Whoa, hold on.
She turned back to her friends, her horn shone more brightly, white waves of power emanating from it into space. Sparkles filled the air. The magical aura enveloped Rarity, Rainbow Dash, and Applejack, along with Twilight. There was a burst. All 4 ponies vanished. Seconds later, the world snake's head crashed into the earth, sending shockwaves through the whole of the Archback Mountains. It hissed and snarled, thrashing in fury, smashing against the stone and snow and magical barrier alike. In a flash, they were all back in the Ponyville library, landing in a heap. The shock of warmth and shelter nearly overwhelming for the 3 travelers. Twilight Sparkle got to her hooves and turned to face them.
Are you all right? I got to you as soon as I could. I couldn't even be sure I would get to the right place. I just had a vision to go by, and what was that thing?
Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash stared at her for a moment, lying sprawled across the wood floor. They all gave a tremendous shout and then leaped at each other, screaming and crying and laughing, grabbing for each other with their hooves, nuzzling each other, tumbling over each other over the floor, rolling over the cushions and stray books. The commotion drew Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, Spike, Applebloom, and Zecora out of the upper rooms. No sooner had they emerged on the stairs than Dash shot to them, trying to hug them all at once, while Rarity and Applejack galloped to Twilight and tackled her in a furious embrace, nuzzling her, even licking her, wanting to make sure she was real. With a squeal of delight, Pinkie Pie bounced down into their midst, and the white unicorn and orange earth pony embraced her as well, nuzzling her with delight. And even Fluttershy was caught up in the joy of the reunion, flying over to join the hug, and Dash flew back and picked up Twilight in a great 4-legged hug that lifted her off the ground. Then Spike leapt into the fray, and every pony gave him a nuzzle, and Applebloom joined them next, laughing and giggling, and Applejack took her up, and was crying as she nuzzled her. Every one of them then looked over at Zecora, who started to say something in rhyme, but didn't get very far because they all charged her and wrapped around her in a hug that really became every pony hugging every pony. 10 minutes of hugging and nuzzling and laughing later, the wild energy of the reunion finally abated somewhat, and Rarity found her voice.
Oh, Twilight, you all right?
You're all right. It looked like I got to you just in time.
Applejack sat back and held Applebloom in her lap. You saved our hides, Sugar Cube. No doubt about it.
But, Twilight, how did you ever find us? How did you get to us?
It was the Beneviolet. It didn't just heal my horn rot, it supercharged my magic, and I was able to find you because, well, the horn rot was giving me visions, and I had one just a while ago about the 3 of you, so I knew exactly where you'd be.
I thought you didn't believe in visions.
I still don't, but whether I believe in them or not, I was able to find you because of what I saw, so I'll take what I can get.
Her violet eyes widened.
But seriously, what was that huge thing? It was bigger than any animal I've ever seen.
An animal? A really big animal?
Well, you reckon it was a world snake?
Ooh, you did see a world snake? That's what my Twitch was about. Was he as big as the world? I bet he was.
Not quite as big as the world, but darn near. Nothing my awesome lightning powers couldn't handle, though.
Lightning?
Well, yeah.
Dash rose to her hooves. Rarity and Applejack did the same. Applejack setting down Applebloom as she did.
Holy cow! Look at you girls!
The others pulled away to take in the sight of the 3 ponies. And what a sight it was. All 3 of them, even Rarity, had grown leaner, firmer, more solidly built. Even Applejack's considerable muscles had been added to. Their coats were rounder, slightly longer, but their colors were as vibrant as ever. Applejack's Dale Guard armor glistened in the light of the library, the dark red leather rich and waxy, the golden stitching flickering as she moved, along with the golden symbol of Gildedale on the cruppers, while the emerald on her chamfron shone bright green. Rainbow Dash's scarf hung around her neck, while the dark blue sigils of the pronghorn swirled all over her body, making her look fierce and tribal. Rarity had the presence of mind to strike a pose, and her dearest armor gleamed brilliant, dazzling silver. The crystal crests on her helmet and the crystal streaks on her torso, and the greaves sparkling.
Where did you get that armor?
Well, it's a bit of a long story. My armor and Applejack's don't come from the same place.
Yeah. You see, my armor comes from Gildedale.
Where's Gildedale?
It's the country just on the other side of the mountains from Equestria. It's full of earth ponies.
Full of earth ponies? What are they like?
They're a bit different than equestrian ponies, but deep inside, they're really a lot like us. This is the armor of the Dale Guard. The patrols are warrior ponies that keep Gildedale safe.
Warrior ponies? Ooh, this is gonna be good.
Pinkie Pie pulled a bag of popcorn out of nowhere.
My armor, meanwhile, isn't made by ponies. It's made by the deer of the Shimmerwood.
You met deer?
We met a whole forest of deer. We also met some pronghorns, and they're the ones that gave me these sigils.
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 Dash spun around in the air.
I was going to say it was fresh in my mind. Those drawings do seem to be pronghorn designs.
Pronghorns? You met pronghorns?
I met 3 of them. Wait, how did you know about them?
They stopped by the Palace of the Sun a lot, delivering messages to Princess Celestia. I used to see them when she was giving me private lessons.
Messengers? Do they risk hoof and head, boldly ensuring the dispatch goes through? Oh, brave and noble servants of the global order.
Something like that. They ride lightning. Hey, wait, you mentioned lightning. Is this where you got lightning powers? From the pronghorns?
Sure did.
This is such a neat sounding story. You should tell it to us. You should tell us right now.
The story?
Rarity shared a glance with Applejack and Rainbow Dash. Huh. You know, thinking back on the whole ordeal, it does make quite a story.
And I, for one, want to hear every bit of it.
Well, gotta warn you, Sugar Cube, it's a real long story, too.
We've got all day.
Spike pointed to the window. Sure enough, the sun hadn't even reached its apex. It wasn't even noon. Suddenly, a long gray length of rope dropped out of the air right in front of Applejack. She squealed so loudly the other ponies drew back. Ropey! I really can't lose you. Oh, Ropey, you're the best rope ever. She hugged it close. Twilight gave a puzzled smile.
Okay, now I have to hear this story.
Well,
Dash had a note of uncertainty in her voice, but she was playing. Rarity wasn't the only one who knew how to handle an audience.
Please tell us.
I'll lend you my ear. I would much like to hear.
I suppose you all deserve to know.
Rarity used her magic and removed her helmet, shaking out her violet mane.
At the very least, you deserve to know why it took us so long.
I'm okay with telling, provided we can stop for lunch at some point. I got a hankering for fresh apples from Sweet Apple Acres.
Sure, we'll tell you everything. In fact, I bet you two will like some of the parts of the story I have to tell. I didn't really go into detail about what happened with Niles and the other pronghorns.
Now I got some stuff that happens twixt me and Ashtail. Maybe I'll say it. Pinky grinned and changed at the change in her voice.
I also had some things happen to me that you two weren't around for. I suppose now we're all going to learn the full story of our journey.
Gotta go get Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo. They're gonna want to hear this too.
Yes, please go get Sweetie. Oh, I so want to see her.
And go and get Big Macintosh too, why don't you? Tell him to bring apples.
Sure will.
Apple Bloom dashed for the door.
I got a feeling we're gonna need some tea.
Spike stood up and headed for the kitchen.
Good idea, Spike. And once you've got the kettle on, go get a quill and plenty of paper.
That night, high above the fields of Equestria, in the great shining city of Canterlot, deep within the Palace of the Sun, Princess Celestia sat in her private chambers, a fire blazing in the enormous fireplace to keep out the chill that still pervaded the spring nights. A short ground desk sat in front of her, and next to it was a large sack of official papers, dispatches, reports, proclamations, orders for the various ministries that helped Equestria function. Flipping through a report on imports, she told herself for the 100th time that she really should have been in bed. She didn't need to sleep, not with her divinity. But she liked it, liked the chance to rest her mind and dream. Since Luna had retaken control of the night and all its business, she had been able to reclaim the full night off she used to enjoy more than 1,000 years ago. So, she really should have been in bed, but old habits die hard, and the 1,000-year habit of burning the midnight oil was a difficult one to break. There was another, even older habit at work also, her tendency to want to know as many details of the country's functioning as she could. When she had been much younger, her urge had been to micromanage everything she could get her hooves on. Thousands of years of life had taught her to be more relaxed, but the impulse to be controlling was still there. Still, she squelched it now, as she had learned to do, and with a golden shimmer of her large horn, she set the report aside. It could wait until morning. The white-winged unicorn rose to her hooves, shining aura mane billowing in divine wind. Stretching her great wings briefly, she turned and began to head for her bedroom. She had barely taken a step, however, when a trail of shimmering purple energy slithered down from the high window, stopping just in front of her. It sparkled briefly for a moment, then swirled, and a rolled-up scroll popped into being, tied with red ribbons.
Oh, Twilight.
Celestia had
Oh.
wondered when she would be getting her student's next friendship report. In fact, it had worried her for a while. Twilight Sparkle hadn't sent her a report in almost 2 weeks, and she usually managed to at least one report weekly. Still, Twilight was learning about friendship at her own pace, and it wasn't Celestia's business to hurry her or to pry. She had done enough to set her on the path. Catching the scroll with her telekinesis, the Regent of the Sun was surprised to see that was not the typical friendship report. Where those were thin, a single sheet of paper, this was a very thick roll comprising of multiple leaves, dozens of pages. No sooner had she begun to ponder the meaning than another cloud of purple magic wafted in through through the window, swirling around and materializing into another scroll thick with pages. Then another cloud of magic flew in, and one more, both of them coalescing into rolled up bundles of numerous pages. As she levitated them before her, Celestia noticed they were numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4, written on the blank side of the outermost page. Then, with a thin stream of purple magic, a fifth one came in through her window, and when it swirled around, it revealed a much thinner scroll, a single page more, like what she was used to. It had "Please read first" written on the outer side of the page. Curious, Celestia trotted back to her cushion and settled down upon it, setting the scrolls on the rug beside her. Levitating the indicated scroll, she unwrapped it and unfurled it, reading.
Dear Princess Celestia, my sincerest apologies for not writing to you over the past 12 days. Unfortunately, I have spent most of them in the grips of a particularly bad case of horn rot.
Oh dear. I wish she had told me.
Granted, horn rot was a nasty disease, and it would be particularly so for a pony as powerful as Twilight Sparkle. It was also difficult to cure with healing spells because it just fed on the magic used and caused the victim more pain. Still, Celestia was certain she could have helped. If nothing else, she could have put Twilight into a suspended animation while the cure was brewed.
In that time, my friends Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy, along with my other friends Sakura and Apple Bloom, took the best care of me they could, keeping me entertained and tending to me when I became bedridden by the intensity of the disease. In this, they were ably assisted by dear Spike.
My goodness.
So it had been bad.
However, I am now completely healed, in as good health as I was before, so you need not worry. The reason I am so improved is due to the actions of 3 of my other friends, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and Rarity. They undertook a long journey to the Arkbat Mountains to find a flowering plant called the Beneviolet, which ultimately cured my horn rot and saved my life.
The Arkback Mountains?
They were very far away, even on the wing. For 3 ponies, 2 of whom she knew were not Pegasi, to make such a journey across strange lands was a sign of great bravery indeed. She began to suspect the reason behind the 4 scrolls, but she continued to read Twilight's letter.
On their journey, they encountered many strange and fascinating lands, and met many amazing and wonderful creatures. These included the ponies of the Kingdom of Gildedale, including their king, Hammerhoof.
Ha! So they got through Gildedale?
Celestia smiled, wondering how on earth they had convinced the Dale ponies to let them pass. She knew young Hammerhoof had been quite adamant about keeping magic out of his lands. He had written as much to her in more than one letter. Then she recalled that she had yet to inform Gildedale about Luna's return. She wanted to go in pony to tell Lord Hammerhoof herself, but she simply hadn't been able to find the time.
Perhaps I should make time.
3 pronghorns from the Pronghorn Network.
I wonder if they've met Clive.
The stoic old pronghorn had been handling her dispatches for almost 60 years now, and showed no signs of slowing down. The more recent additions to the route that included Equestria, Niles, and Audrey were also very pleasant. More pleasant than Clive, really, who tended to be a bit stiff and formal. He could also get a bit pompous when he tried to talk about the dreaming, even to her, who was in the dreaming all the time anyway.
And the deer of the Shimmerwood, including their tongue work. And the deer of the Shimmerwood, including their ruler, Lady Falaloria.
They met Lola.
Celestia smiled enormously at the thought of her very old friend. She hadn't seen her in not terribly long in the grand scheme of things, but far too long for her liking. Then and there she made up her mind. She was going to go visit Gildedale within the fortnight to tell them about Luna, and she was going to swing by the Shimmerwood as well. Luna could run the country just fine for the day or two.
Sorry, Lala broke me, but... Through their whole journey, they persevered, drawing strength from each other, learning and growing through their experiences. They have shared their tale with me and my other friends, and I have had Spike transcribe it. It is contained in the other 4 scrolls I sent you, and I hope that you will read it as well. In my humble estimation, it is a tale worthy of the Royal Archives, a grand story of endurance, courage, and hope. My own experiences and the experience of all of my friends have shared with me have taught me a very great lesson about friendship. It is easy to be a friend of some pony when times are good and all is well. Yet when times are bad, when a darkness falls, that is when true friendship shines. A real friendship endures even the stiffest challenges, and a real friend will be by your side to lend a helping hoof, not only when you are at your best, but also, especially, when you are at your worst. A real friend will give up much for you, perhaps even their own life, and if you would truly be that pony's friend, you must be prepared to give up as much in turn. I can only hope that if I'm ever called to struggle and sacrifice as much for my friends as they have for me, I will prove worthy of the challenge. Your faithful student, Twilight Sparkle.
Celestia smiled broadly as she finished the letter. She could feel the love and the friendship radiating through Twilight's words. It was obvious she had been touched very deeply by the things her friends had gone through on her behalf.
You grow more and more wise every day, Twilight Sparkle, and so do all your friends. That could only mean good for the world.
With such a strong endorsement from her prized pupil, Celestia could not resist. As she had told herself earlier, it wasn't as though she needed to sleep. She certainly never got tired. Seeking out the first of the 4 scrolls, she levitated it up with her magic, removed the ribbon, and unfurled it.
I do so love a good adventure story.
She began to read.
All right, I'll pull up the first reading again. I'll share it on the chat. Give me a second.
Yay!
Chapter 1. The day which would go so wrong started as so many didn't.
Amazing.
Why do
I
you
love
have
it
it up
actually.
already?
Because I have speed scroll.
Lycan, I hate you.
You're welcome.
I was not
No, that
expecting
was
Lala.
awful.
It just broke me and I could not recompose.
Oh, Lala.
Oh, Lala. Oh, god damn it. It's okay. Lycan decided to share puns like right before my line, and they were cracking me up. Except that last one, he decided to
That's
DM me
half of
something
why
else.
You're half the chest going.
Yeah, because this is
Oh,
editing
God.
mode.
That was a great story. I liked it.
Didn't realize how much Twilight read at the end there. I should have read that beforehand, so I had the words in my head a bit.
Lycan, you're an awful human being. I just
You're
hope you know
welcome.
that.
How could you grace me
Right
with
before
such
my
great
line.
compliment? Oh my.
Is there a way to slap somebody through the computer all the way in Australia?
Well, I did talk about that chair.
What, the 2 feet of snow?
God damn it.
You
That
just
was
have-
cold, Lycan. That was cold.
But
Well, you could give him. You could use one of these hand emojis here.
Ah, exactly.
Or you just
don't-
have to
I don't wanna
find the
give
weird
him a
network of
hand,
slaps
sorry.
across the internet.
Well, there's other things here you could give him.
oh, whoa.
Oh.
Except that's
Well-
clearly the wrong.
You could
Anyway,
give him the middle finger. You can give him pinched
Pretty much.
fingers or.
I don't want to
hand.
give him. I don't want to give him
So
a
that
middle
was,
finger.
That was what, 14 parts, 27 chapters, was it?
This
20
was-
chapters.
Yeah,
20.
20 chapters.
And hey, if you guys love this story, there is a sequel. You just go to Jetfire 2012's Vim Fiction page, and you should find it easily.
Yes, yes. So yes, we finally, with everything going through, we finally figured out we finally got to the end. Bleh. And yes, so
We think we survived.
somehow. So
Of
yes,
course, now comes the question of what comes next, or will there be?
yes, it is. So
Oh, I'm up for it. I enjoy these readings. They're great.
This was a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
So yes, they are fun. I do enjoy these and everything else. So yeah, if people have suggestions, I think we're looking at possibly doing a little bit shorter one this next time. So trying to figure out what we're doing next and where we're going. So yeah, make sure to still stick around. We'll be doing more Divinity in the off weeks, and while we're getting things prepared, who knows? I'm sure we can come up with something. We do have RimWorld to poke at more, so we might do that a little bit on the off weeks as well. So,
Game I don't have.
so yes, but well, who knows? Maybe we'll play some golf with friends again. That's a nice, relaxing thing.
Oh, that was fantastic. That
Wait.
Hilarious.
With or without collisions? How relaxing are we going for?
Oh. So yes.
I love how everyone just gave their best impressions of an evil laugh just then. Like,
No, you gotta strengthen it with the oh.
oh, is that like the evil stepmother laugh?
I'm sorry, I shouldn't do that high-pitched laugh this close to the microphone. I know how loud it gets.
You're
Nice.
actually fairly low.
Oh, really?
Fairly low.
I'd have been mistaken it for mine.
Possible.
Let's have fun.
But yes,
Anyway, I had great fun doing these.
I'm glad. I'm glad that everybody enjoyed. And yes, so I suppose I think I'm only like halfway through my pot of tea. I definitely took a few pauses to go, 1 second, let me just wet my whistle a bit. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, you totally did that on purpose for like the spike line there for tea.
As long as you don't spill the tea, I guess.
But that's when things get spicy and fun.
Also, I think I figured it out because multiple of us were going, what on earth was the little like flashback to Twilight screaming and Spike coming in the door? I think that was supposed to be another one of Rarity's flashbacks.
No, it's more of a vision because remember she has a follow Arya's ability of seeing.
Well, yeah, that's what I was meaning. Is that similar
Yeah.
thing? I didn't realize it till the second one happened, and it had a little bit more of a lead in.
Yeah, it just felt way too short right there. It felt like it needed another.
That's how it was written. I didn't.
Yeah.
I
I
kind
don't.
of it was almost like I expected Pinkie Pie to just show up and be like, and this is happening.
Well, we did have that. This was it the last reading where Pinkie Pie said something about the world tree or world snake, and then this
It was
happened.
like at the very beginning of the story, like second or third, right after the horn rot started.
Like, I think it would have been funny though if like that first one that felt kind of out of place, if like they just had Pinkie Pie just randomly sit there and go, meanwhile in Ponyville.
That doesn't really fit the tone of this story.
I mean, that's fair. That would have been funny. What?
Shit.
Somebody say Tara?
No.
Just the fact that it was that one paragraph and then we don't acknowledge that happened. It just.
And
That's
Deus
really
Ex Machina
commentary
for the
about the
win.
writing.
Woohoo.
It felt out of place there, unless there were like more
Well,
of those
that's
throughout
not-
the entire thing going on.
Well, that's gonna
What
have to be blamed on the author.
Yeah.
What it should have done is it should have had a lead in of saying like, and then this character gets a flash to what's going on over here, and then have this happen. Like state that there's a flash or something going on. I think that would have been a much better lead in and would have worked a lot better.
Well, it's behind us now.
Yeah.
But you know what's in front of us? HarmonyCon 2022. See you all there. Thank you very much.
Huzzah!
But I already paid for a BabsCon
Yeah.
ticket 2 years ago.
But there's snow outside. I can't go anywhere. There's snow.
It's
You
Texas.
couldn't go anywhere if there wasn't any snow.
Well,
But it's Texas.
well, yes, it is in Texas. Every single year so far, apparently, we've hit a snowstorm.
Can confirm this. Can confirm this.
Like,
Well, that just means you got to
We-
yeehaw a bit more. Just go yeehaw.
I don't
can-
know if you
and snow
remember
goes away.
Winchester. I think last year we were somewhere in Oklahoma and we hit a patch of black ice.
Ooh.
Well, last year we were all sitting in our homes because it was online.
Well, I mean, last in-person con.
Yeah, no, last in-person con, let's see. I remember hitting a patch of black ice, but luckily the trailer helped straighten us out. And then I remember
Yeah.
and then I remember when we almost skidded off the road in the rainstorm coming back near Joplin because the road is lit up very poorly.
Was that the
That was
bridge
the exit
one?
that I took way too fast because I didn't see it until it was too late.
Right.
So
Oh, so it's like that meme where you like drifted around the corner and.
pretty
a
much, except
trailer.
I was hauling a 16-foot trailer behind me. Also, it was a brand new 16-foot trailer.
Oh yeah, it was
So you
fresh off
just
the
did it-
line. We were on a first trip.
So you just did an initial D kind of
Pretty
Slide.
much. Pretty much.
Pretty much,
And-
I was in the vehicle behind, cringing at how I was going to place that phone call to my father because we rented the trailer from my father.
And I was the one driving, and I was just sitting there going, "Oh no!" And the whole time, I just remember we got there, and me and Broken Skies just looked at each other afterwards, and he pulled off shortly later, and I just remember hearing a radio call. You guys need some new pants up there.
Yeah, we were so concerned for you guys. Yeah, we were like, oh god, they're probably like, we're gonna get out of the car, they're gonna be like shaking or stiff moving, like, that look of, life flashed before my eyes type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a trip. That's when that's when I was driving Dan's pickup, so of course I was being like very careful.
Hey, at least with everything that happened, Little Bat was in the back and in a cocoon of plushies, so it would have been fine.
They would have made it out okay. Same with Sarah. She was behind me. She was behind one of us. I don't know what side she sat on, but she was kind of cozy in the back of the truck too.
Yeah. But so anyways, yes. So yeah, if anybody's going down to HarmonyCon or anything, feel free to say hi. I'm also going. It also looks like I'm going to be at Anthro Expo in Oklahoma City at the end of this month. So So if anybody's popping up that way, feel free to say hi. But yeah, so
A needle
I've-
pulling thread.
what?
You said so. A needle pulling thread.
I got that one. I got that one.
So without further ado, let's do outros. So we'll start off with, or shoutouts. So shoutouts. We'll start with Ocean.
I don't know. Thanks for work for actually being slow for the last hour. Before I clocked out and everything 20 some minutes ago. That was nice. Made it easier for reading. And please, I need staff for HarmonyCon, so I work events and I need people. So if people want to help me, that'd be awesome.
Yes. Alrighty. Next up, Tara. Shoutouts.
Shout out to my husband for watching our domestic terrorist while I was able to do this. And for those of you who want to argue any toddler is a domestic terrorist, they try to rule with fear inside your home.
Oh, and it's absolutely true.
It is very true.
And yeah, shout out I guess shout out also to my domestic terrorist for not being super loud and not choking on this Pinkie Pie toy. Thanks. It's mine now.
It's not yours, it's theirs.
And speaking of Pinkie Pie, Lycan, shoutouts.
My meeting, it's called a Golden Gay Time. I'm not even joking. It's called a Golden Gay Time. One
Well,
of Australia's favorite ice creams.
well, I'm eating a Tim Tam.
I mean spaghetti.
Yummy.
That I don't remember how I got them, but I think it had something to do with somebody shipped them to Luck Rock and they got left inside of my organ bench.
Oh, that's
Damn
amazing.
it. Now I
So
want
what you need
ice.
to do, it's called a Tim Tam Slam. What you do is you get like a cup of coffee and you bite opposing corners of the Tim Tam and you use the Tim Tam like a straw. So you like suck up the coffee through the Tim Tam and then just before the Tim Tam melts, you then like eat the whole Tim Tam all at once and it's absolutely delicious.
So I did that with my black English tea. Very good. Very good.
Very
Oh.
nice.
Alrighty. So next up, Razzle, shoutouts.
Shoutouts to pizza because it's very good. And do I need to say more?
Hey, that's what I had for dinner.
I mean,
You
don't
kind
have
of
to.
pizza. Do you want a pizza me?
Alrighty. Double R, shoutouts.
Shout out to Jetfire 2012 for not being afraid to rip off several concepts of Lord of the Rings to make this very entertaining story. And from a wider perspective, shout out to Betty White, rest in peace. Golden Girls is a great show.
Alrighty. And last but not least, CMC, shoutouts.
Oh, my brain is still broken at Lala. Fires, explosions,
la
and
la.
fossil venison jerky, LOE, Rhone, I don't know, it's craziness. Stick around for after party. I think we're considering Contagion. We'll see. There will be an after party.
Although apparently Skyrays may not be joining us this time.
Yeah, Power's having fun for him.
If it's not internet, it's power. Ugh.
I'm sorry, I lolled at power surgery. That was funny.
So, alrighty. Well, thank you all for showing up. My shout out goes to all of you out there who's watching. And yes, it's been fun. And I suppose on that, everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Everybody, goodbye.
No, it was everybody say goodbye, not
feels like an anchor is chained to my heart. Dear Luna, I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm at the end of my rope. I don't know what to do. It's hard to find the words to say how much I wish I could escape. And I know you can't just wash my pain away, but if you could watch my dreams tonight and show me hope, show me light, let me flee the dark for just one night. Dear Luna, take me away from here. Let me walk out of the shadows. Set me free from fear. Dear Luna, fill my dreams with color. Paint my mind with wonder. Let my sadness burst asunder. It's hard to find the words to say how much I wish I could escape. And I know you can't just wash my pain away, but if you could watch my dreams tonight and show me hope, show me light, let me flee the dark for just one night. Just one night. Just one night. Just one night. Just one
Thank you all for showing up. It's been fun. This is Winchester 572 going 10-7. I'm out. Bye-bye.